I'm gonna go ahead and EQ this kick right now, and you get to watch as I do that. So I like the balance between them. It's really a nice balance. So I've already set that balance. So I'm happy in terms of how much beta I'm getting from the kick versus the body of the kick. So I'm happy with that. So now I'm gonna, instead of EQing them on the individual channels, I'm gonna EQ them as an instrument, as one thing. Which is why I created this aux now, because then I get to EQ them as one thing. So I like to use an SSL, the E version, because it sounds nice, and not only for that reason, because the other reason is because it's a channel strip, so it has all the other stuff. It has the filters, it has the compression, it has expansion or gate. It also has EQ as well, and this one also has the emulation of the preamp, so you also get the tone of the preamp. I love it. So let's get to EQ it first, or let me start by gating and then we will EQ later. So I like expanders more because they sound great more than the gates. They sound more natural. Let's go to that. So at this point, you just have to decide how long do you want the kick to be, right? So there's really no wrong or right way of doing it. So you just have to decide, okay, I've got this kick. What do I hear from it? Because as I was listening to this specific one, it just sounded like there's that more of like whoa, 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 whoa going on, instead of just being tight and giving you that nice tone. So I decided I'm gonna shorten the kick to make it tight and also to fit in the style of how he's playing, and that's what we just did now. And I'm gonna go ahead and EQ. I think I need some tops. So the way to do this, I'm not really going to teach you how to use EQ, but I'm just going to explain how I do this. So basically, what I do is I listen, and in my mind, I kind of try to imagine the sound, right? But then what I do is I would choose a frequency, and then I would boost that frequency and just boost it, like overdo it basically, so I can hear what's actually going on in that frequency and how that frequency sounds on that specific source. So then I'll start hunting for the right frequency that I'm looking for. Right about there. Then I would take it down. And I'm happy with that. So in terms of the highs, I'm happy with that. And I might boost around about 300 or 200, 3,000 or so, just so that it comes through on the smaller speakers as well, and that you kind of have almost like a mid-rangey kick as well, just so that it's able to pop out on the speakers and a very busy mix as well. So let's try that. And I'm using a broader cue to do that. I'm just going to overdo it so we can look for the frequency. Round about there, it's fine. I'm happy with that. And now I hear some bothering frequencies for me, round about 350 on this kick, so like almost like woo, 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 woo within that kick. So just listen and pay attention to that. So to cut it out, I'm just going to make a very tight cue so that I'm able to take care of that problem. So this EQ with UAD stuff, what they normally do is they force you to use your ears, right? Because as you can see, as I'm moving the frequencies there, you don't get to see the numbers like you would with waves, right? With like a waves one. So because the idea is that on an actual analog console, there's no numbers that are telling you where you are. You do have those, however, this numbers here, this indications of what frequency you are just about, but then you don't get the exact frequency in terms of this is exactly what you're cutting. And the reason is that you have to use your ears, you know. So I'm just I'm zooming so you can see on a smaller what is it, if you're using a phone or something like that. So let's get to do this. I'm going to take out that frequency somewhere around there. Let's just listen now. So the best way to do this, you do it with a small, like with a very tight cue, and you boost the frequency, and then you look for it. And you hear that kind of like a honky sound. Right about there. So that looks like around 380 or 400 or something like that. So I'm just going to take that out. I'm happy with that. And kicks, I like to boost a bit of 50 hertz, around 60, somewhere around there, because it always just pops out nicely. But depending on what's going on in terms of the production and the style of music, sometimes the bass would occupy those lows instead of the kick. So in that case, then maybe the kick would reside round about 80 or so. And then maybe the bass then will take the 60, 50, somewhere around there in terms of the very lows. But then they shouldn't take the same space, because then you won't hear the other. So they'll be fighting for those frequencies, and it'll be very difficult to have separation and a very clean low end. So something we will talk in a different video. So I'm gonna go ahead and boost some 50, and then maybe listen, it might be a different frequency. Alright, so that's how you EQ a live kick. If you loved watching this video, please subscribe to this channel and hit the bell notification so that every time I load a video like this, you get notified. And happy mixing, and I'll see you in the next video.